Welcome back. Take a look at futures with a firmer tone this morning. We are expecting a higher opening. Dow Industrials right now up 39, the Nasdaq up 40, the S&P 500 higher by 8 3/4. What a year we have had. Take a look at the markets year to date with these double-digit moves across the board. Dow Industrials up 9% for the year so far, but the Nasdaq is up 36% year to date. The S&P 500 higher by almost 19% year to date. Technology, of course, moving this market year to date, and it is up again this morning as Apple's market cap has closed now above $3 trillion for the first time since August. Joining me right now is Andersen Capital Management Chief Investment Officer Peter Andersen. Peter, great to see you. Thanks very much for being here. What's your reaction to Apple now at $3 trillion and how technology has really been leading this market? I know they talk about the Magnificent Seven, those 7 companies that have taken us to these major gains for the year.
Well, certainly it's a milestone, but I only think of it as a milestone, Maria. You know, it's curious to me because most tech companies are spouting out about artificial intelligence with a great deal of volume, and we're hearing hardly anything from Apple about AI. And I do think that's a concern because Apple really has just identified itself basically as an iPhone manufacturer. And going forward, I'm not sure that's going to have a lot of gas in the tank, frankly.
So you don't think the innovation is there to continue the growth story that we're talking about?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, when have you last used Siri in a way that has actually been successful when you ask it a question? I mean, frankly, I think it's an embarrassment considering how far AI has evolved so far.
Yeah.
And yet Apple really is conspicuously silent on artificial intelligence. So I'm not sure what its next bag of tricks is going to be,
would you
say through 2024 and beyond.
Would you sell into this rally in Apple then? Sell the stock?
I have never been a holder of Apple in my entire career, so that tells you one thing. And secondly, I would say once Steve Jobs moved on in life, so to speak, Apple really did take a dramatic turn in its strategy. And I have never thought of it as a major innovator. I just think of it now as a replicator of iPhones. I mean, do we need 7 camera lenses as opposed to 6 on the next iPhone release?
Right.
So when I think of it that way, there are so many more alternatives in technology, especially that are on the cutting edge of discoveries.
Yeah, like which one?
Well, of course, Nvidia. I mean, I've been a holder of Nvidia for almost 10 years now, and it certainly is not exhausted in its efforts to support artificial intelligence. Supermicro Computer, for instance, that's another brethren of Nvidia that I think will do very well next year and beyond.
Adam Johnson, jump in here. You also own Nvidia.
Oh, I certainly do. I haven't owned it as long as Peter has. Peter, I wish I had owned it for 10 years. But I did notice that, A, you're an optimist. I read your notes. And B, you are long Palo Alto Software and United Rentals, 2 best-in-breed companies that I also own. What do you look for in a company?
So many different things. I mean, it's such a broad question. Let me just pick one or 2 dimensions of that. So with computer security, when you look at a company like Palo Alto or CyberArk, for instance, I look at that and I say throughout COVID and suffering through last year's horrible returns, there are certain businesses that are going to have legs under them no matter what. And we know that data security will never fall off the line when you're looking at technology and companies that need to have secure communications. I mean, if you have one violation in your communications technology, it's almost the end of the company. So I look at something like that and saying this is a durable, theoretical business that actually has practicality to it and doesn't seem to ever fall off the cliff.
Let's talk broadly speaking and get your take on the Fed and rates right now, Peter. The 10-year Treasury yield this morning is trading this way after the job openings for last month fell to the lowest level since March of 2021. The yield is now up 3 1/3 basis points, sitting at 4.2%. We've got more jobs dated this week. We've got the November ADP number coming out this morning at 8:15, and then the jobs number is Friday. Economists are expecting 130,000 private sector jobs to be added to the economy in this ADP number, and then the November jobs report out on Friday. Jobs have been growing. Your thoughts on the macro story right here, Peter?
Well, I think that the Fed is finally going to stop raising rates. And I think that's wonderful news. I think also we have to remember that, my theory is, and I've said this before, that when you raise a rate, it takes about a year for that rate increase to work through the economy, Maria. So we still have about 150 basis points of rates hikes that have not seasoned within a year period. So even if the Fed stops today, for instance, and announces that they're stopping today, we still have that 150 basis points kind of that needs to be baked in through the economy. So I think the stage is set for a very, very strong economic foundation for next year. And especially, I would say, if the Fed has completed its campaign, we will enjoy a soft landing.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Peter, good to see you. Thanks very much. Peter Andersen joining us this morning on markets and the economy. We will see you soon, Peter. Quick break, and then FBI Director Chris